Welcome, my name is Chris Griffiths and we're here to do map searches and saved searches. So let's go to the MLS and we're at the home page. The way you access this is you go to Searches, Map. And when we get to the map, you'll see that the first thing is there are three tabs up here above the top left of the map. The default is radius, and then you also have area and polygon. We're going to do each of the three here. And the other thing to notice is that as the top right you have the restore default map, which can be especially useful, especially when you're learning how to use this. If you make a boo-boo, you just click that and you go back to square one. The next thing to notice is that below the map you have this section where you can specify by three different methods the starting point, the center point for your radius. You can use a street address. Now I've found that to be a little finicky. Sometimes you put in the address, you know darn well it's correct, and it says that you can't find it. But most often you're going to be doing this search for a CMA, and typically you're going to do a CMA, a comparative market analysis, either for a buyer, in which case you very likely have a listing number. It doesn't have to be your listing number. So say you're working with a buyer and you're going to come up with something to justify the offer price, you would use a listing number here to center the map. Or if you're working with a seller, you're very likely to have a tax ID, which either you found up here in the tax search or you've got from your title company. So we're going to pretend we're doing this for a seller, and we're going to put in our tax ID. Notice that even though in our preferences we said that we wanted Los Angeles County, here it's just giving us an alphabetized list, so we have to manually select Los Angeles. Now the tax ID is 10 numbers separated by hyphens. In here you don't put any hyphens, so we type the tax ID number in with no hyphens. Now do not hit enter. If you hit enter you'll get something you don't expect. What you want to do here is click recenter map, and when you do that you'll see that if we scroll up the page a little, it now has centered the radius of 1/2 mile, which is our preset, on the assessor's parcel number we gave it. Okay, so the next thing is that when you look at it, we're looking at it here in the map view. But up to the left here, you'll notice that you also have aerial and you have hybrid. And the difference between them is they're both aerial views, but on the hybrid you have the major street names, which makes it, I think, just a little more useful than the straight aerial view. In this instance, I think we just want to go back to the map view, so we'll click on road. Now let's say we look at this and we decide that 1/2 mile is just not going to give us enough properties for our search. If we come down below and we change the 1/2 mile to 1 mile, we don't have to click anything. It will automatically recenter the map and show us the 1 mile radius. Now notice that when we scroll down the page, we now have all the other choices available to us in a standard search. We can specify the type of property, if necessary the zip code, the statuses and everything else. Let's just stop for a second and think about why might we want to use the zip code. Well, we've specified a circle on the ground, but let's say we had done it over here at JPL. On one side we'd have Altadena, the other side we'd have La Cañada. Very different communities. We probably don't want to mix those two sets of data. So we could do our radius and then say, okay, but I only want to see properties in this zip code. So even though you are specifying the position on the ground with this, you can further specify it using city or zip code or what have you. So all we've done with our radius search is we've specified the area we want to search, and then we come down and we do all our other search criteria. So that's how you do the radius search. Now there is another way of doing the radius search, and I'm going to get out of here. I'm just going to go back to the home page and come back in. You can do this freehand. Now if you know a neighborhood, I personally think this is way quicker. So what you do here is you point at the map, press and hold the left mouse button, and you'll see as I drag my mouse, the radius expands. Now the thing people do wrong here is they try and get it right the first time. Notice that you can go back in and you can have multiple bites at the cherry. So you've got a very vague map to begin with. Go in and don't try and get it right the first time. Just do multiple times. But if you know the area that you're working, you can get a very precise radius this way. Let's go back to restore default map, and let's do the same thing over here in Burbank. So you press and hold, and you see once you've got the hang of this, it's an incredibly quick way of creating a radius search, and you can be very accurate with it. So what do we do when we don't want a circle, when we don't want a radius? Well, a rectangle search, an area search, is a great way of doing it. An area like Northeast Pasadena has a very good north, south, east, west grid. So let's say we want to look at Bungalow Heaven. What we do is, again, we press and hold the left mouse button and drag. We create the rough area. Again, don't try and get it right the first time. And then zoom in, and then when you can see the real detail, you can say, okay, well, this is approximately Bungalow Heaven right here. And now we've selected the area, and again, we would come down the page and we would specify all the other search criteria. So what happens when a circle or a rectangle is not what you want? Well, this is where the polygon comes in. And the polygon works slightly differently, because what we've done so far is we've pointed with our mouse, pressed and held the left mouse button. Here we just point, we don't have to press and hold, we go to our next point, we go to our next point, and you can have up to 10 points. So once you're finished, again, we've specified the area that we're going to do our search in. Obviously this search I did, pretty much for someone who wants to live in the foothills. Let's say we have someone who wants to live in Spar Heights. Spar Heights is a neighborhood here in North Glendale. So again, we're just doing that in order to zoom in. And we'll just zoom in some more, so we're looking at the detail we want. Now, Spar Heights pretty much goes up Rose Lawn Avenue here, doesn't quite go to Honolulu, comes down Verdugo here. Now, you can only have 10 sides to your polygon, but you can select. This is a great way, for example, of selecting a neighborhood. And now once we've done this, we might want to save this to use in the future. So we're not going to put any other search criteria in. We're just going to stop here and we're going to say, okay, I want to save this map that I've created for Spar Heights. How do we do that? Well, this is where the options pane comes in. The options pane sits over here waiting for us to do something on the right-hand side. You remember in these preferences we said we wanted to be collapsed. So it's basically sitting here waiting for us. You can click the plus sign, you can click the tab. You can actually click anywhere in this vertical line and the options pane will open. And the options pane will look different every time you come to it. Here, it's waiting for us to say what it is we want to do, and it's offering to save a search. So we're going to call this Spar Heights and click Save, and you'll see that then it is saved. There is a little red message here that says it's been saved. We can now go back to our home page, and we can go back and find our search. So we go to Searches, Saved Searches. Now this is important. You'll see there are 3 choices here. The choice on the left, if we click on it, because we had residential active selected, we would find everything that is active in residential. On the right, if we click here, we'll see our search criteria, and you can see it specifies the points, longitude and latitude. Or if we click in the middle, it will take us back to what we saved. So it's going to take us back to our map search, and now we could come down and say we're looking for single family, active, 3-bedroom, whatever. Okay? So in other words, you've saved the search and you can now come back and reuse it. So one week you could use it for someone looking for a house, the next week you could find someone looking for a residential income property or a condo or whatever. You're saving the map and you can use it for multiple uses. And obviously once you've got this search, then if you wanted to save it specifically, well, we'll cover that in another class. So that is the end of using the map search and then saving the search you find. Thank you.